Hi, everyone. Thank you for logging in today to Mentor Monday. So the Black British Business Awards, every Monday, well, not every Monday, but almost every Monday, we like to feature some of the amazing talent that's in our community where we get to speaking real deal about how they got there, some of the pitfalls, some of the challenges, some of the highlights, and we want to hear from you. So I want to make sure I can see people are logging in. I'm seeing the logins just kind of coming through, which is nice. I also want you guys to ask us questions. Ask questions. The chat function is there. The question function is there. I'm monitoring it as we're going along. I'll be incorporating your questions into the conversation. But yeah, so get involved. Get involved on Twitter as well. Have people watching on Twitter, and we are live and in effect with two of our finalists, two of our 2018 finalists, Anne Marie and Andrew, who kindly have given up this cold winter night to share with us, to come and be with us today. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, most welcome. Yeah. Fantastic.
No, it's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. And you guys have actually a lot of synergy. So I'm glad that we're all on the mic together. We're going to explore that. We're going to get right into it because these are nice, short, sharp. You can listen to them on your way home. And of course, we'll send out the replay link to you guys afterwards as well. So let us know. Oh, Lord, questions are coming in already. Lord, you guys are sleeping tonight. You guys are sleeping tonight. All right. Okay, I got you guys. So yes, we are going to be covering all kinds of things. Definitely don't worry. At the end, we will be talking about favorite books, favorite podcasts, how do they inspire themselves? And we will be talking about, how they made the big leap. And of course, we're going to be talking about success. So pretty much everyone that comes on the mic, I ask them, hey, when did you find out that you were a success? When did you know that you were successful in your path? And the questions have been very, very interesting. So I want you guys to give us a little bit of an intro about yourselves, but then also answer the question of, okay, wait a minute, when did I know I was a success? And I'm not allowed to say when I got invited to be on this webinar either. That's been used. So Anne-Marie, I'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Yes, sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Anne-Marie. I live in South London. I work in HR. I've been working in HR for the last 20 years. And 18 of those years I've spent working for tech companies. Currently, I'm working at Uber. I've been on board for about a year now. And I head up HR for Northern Eastern Europe, which is really cool. I think to your question, Melanie, when did I kind of think, yes, I'm successful? I'm not sure if that's really dawned on me, but what I have realized, probably not the answer you want to hear, but I think when I started to get access to the type of work that I really wanted to do, the work that I was really passionate about doing, I think I realized that I'd made progress, definitely. And I think also you kind of hear it from other people. People kind of want you to share your tips. They want to hear about your experiences, and they say, look, you've done really well. And I think that all helps reinforce everything. So yeah, it's not a final destination for me, success. I think like we're always trying to get somewhere. So.
I get you. Thank you so much. And Andrew?
Yeah, I'm Andrew. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I live in Northeast London, and I run an art school that's based in Wood Green, London. So I've traveled through very different careers, from law, journalism.
Can you tell us a bit about your school?
And now the art school, the Central School of Painting. It's an independent, alternate art school, where we emphasize on contemporary art, and we teach people the craft of painting, per se, not necessarily the theory. We actually have a lot of our students are either students from other art schools or ex-art school people, or actually professional artists who come for us so that they can be able to be trained up. So we are more of a craft-based, improve you kind of person. The question about when I realized I'm successful, that's a bit difficult because I don't think there's any point when you actually realize I'm successful, because every day it's a new thing. Every day you're working with things. Every day you're trying to build on what you did yesterday. It's always a challenge. But I can say when I realized a change in me is when I realized a change in my mental attitude from being what I call an employee attitude to becoming an employer founder attitude. It's a completely different mind flip, because your ambitions are no longer, say, bonus driven, income driven. Your ambitions are driven by a completely different set of rules, so to speak. Your problems are created by yourself. Stress is yourself. So I think when that flip happened, then maybe you can say, okay, that's the beginning of the success story with me and the Essential School of Painting. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Because owning your own business, running your own business was probably one of your, success destinations.
Yes, that is right. Let's put it this way, having independence and freedom to run your life in its totality, accepting the problems that come with it, the successes that come with it, that to me is, I would say, yes, is something I always desired, because all of my previous careers, they were dictated by somebody's will, somebody's desires, somebody's ambitions, and I have to play to their agenda. Now, in a sense, as a founder, you set the agenda, you take responsibility both for successes and failures. And necessarily failures, by the way, does not mean you have failed, but basically the lessons that need to be learned. Yeah.
For me, I found with starting my own business, I was very keen. I used to work in a large firm, in a large organization. My whole life I've worked in large firms. And when I realized that I was now forgive these words, a slave just to a different master when I was an entrepreneur, that then I was like, ooh, same side of the coin, or a different side of the coin, but it was the same face, the same face. But either way, I was always, there was either the client or it would be the customer, it would be my sponsors. Sorry, sponsors, I know I love you and you love me, but it was more, there was always, I think, an aspect of singing to someone else's tune, until I realized that I'm seeing it through a collaboration. It's more about collaboration now. Now it's more about kind of coming on an even keel, or and that whether it be I'm an employee, or whether it be I'm a founder or a chair. It's I think that's when I realized that there was a crux, like almost like a seniority crux, where you just start to look at everyone as kind of equals. Doesn't matter what situation I'm in. Strange, actually. So that if you didn't realize that you were a success yourself, kind of willingly, then do people externally recognize it first before you were able to actually receive that message? And Marie, I said that as well.
Definitely. I've received lots of encouragement from family. They would always reinforce that they felt I was doing really good work and reaching some of my career goals. I'm a very goal-orientated person, but the issue with that is as soon as you hit one goal, you create another one. So you're always moving. And sometimes, you don't actually look back and see kind of, look how far I've come. So I think it was kind of just the support of the community reinforcing that I'd done well. And as I said, kind of the opportunity to do more meaningful work. I'd always, early on in my career, always wanted to kind of travel to different locations and deliver training, and I got the opportunity to do that, and that was quite a big milestone goal for me. But also things just like the BBA awards, having that recognition last year, that public recognition, industry-wide recognition was just phenomenal in kind of reinforcing, actually you've done some good work. You should be proud of yourself.
Yes. Yeah, it does change the game a little bit. What about you, Andrew?
I agree with Anne-Marie. The first maybe triggers, you can say, for you realizing there's a change is family. The way when I say family, I do mean not just immediate family, but extended family, brothers, siblings, in-laws, and then those very close friends of yours that you consider family. There's a change in the way they relate to you. Almost like now they expect you to lead, you to make the decisions, you to basically point the vision and the direction that we need to be working towards as a family, as a friendship unit. So I noticed that when I would go to, let's say, meet the friends in the pub, for example, simple little things like that, they'd be like, okay, Andrew, where do you want us to go? I would order a particular, it's really odd things, you know, I'll order a pint of beer and everybody else would order the same pint of beer. You know, really funny subtle things that change. Then obviously there's sponsors. I like what you talked about. We all love our sponsors. But now sponsors actually now come up with ideas, and the way they expect you to implement them is not necessarily that they expect you to come back with the financial figures, but actually the goals orientations. Show them, okay, this is how we're going to do it. This is the vision. These are the trigger points that will show us whether we're on the right track. All those kind of things. These are almost a higher level of expectation of you, and a higher acceptance that the decisions you do make are the valid decisions, and that you'll also take responsibilities for any problems that arise. So those kind of things, yeah, they you start realizing, yeah, okay, there's a change. It could be quick sometimes, but I think for me it took a little bit more gradual, I would say, yeah.
That's, you know, I'm glad you mentioned family, because it's a big part. So even though my mom always expected big things from me, on the other hand, I'm always her baby. Like, you know, that's there is, you know, it's always, so she came to she comes to visit me every year, everyone, you know, she's diehard supporter of the Black British Business Awards. And I do remember on telling her, hey, Mom, I'm starting these awards. And she was used to me and my endeavors. Let's keep it real. You know, I did a lot of things on the side. And I don't think she really got the weight of what I was doing until she had arrived. And then she just, you know, there was just a lot of people, you know, 500 people in a room. However, you know, so she's proud, she's everything. But the next morning, I got to say, I came home and my spice cabinet was reorganized. And I was like, Mom, where did you put the spices? I don't understand. Where'd you put the seasoned salt? She's like, well, I put it over here because, you know, you shouldn't put it over there because it's going to get damp from the kettle. So you have to put it over here. And she straight just rearranged my cupboards. And I was like, all right, Mommy. And yes, of course, it's helpful. But it was also, well, you know, I'm her child. So of course, she has every right to do that without even asking. So there is always that baby effect, I think, with there's a catch-22. On one hand, yes, family sometimes first recognizes it, but on the other hand, family, because they've known you in a certain role for your whole life, sometimes it's difficult to see you in a different role or see you in a different way. I see Emery just like smiling because your mom was with my mom in that audience.
Okay.
She had a blast. I mean, she's not stopped talking about it, so.
Yeah, she was absolutely lovely. I was glad I got to really talk to her the next morning. So, but does she see you as her little girl still, or?
Absolutely. I mean, if I'm traveling, have you got everything? Have you locked the house? Have you packed the right things in your suitcase? So absolutely, like, I think you're always your parents' baby. Yeah, that will never go, I think.
Yeah, fundamental to our success, really.
That's
and then,
right.
and you know what? And Andrew, you came with a whole squad as well, didn't you?
Myself?
Yes.
Me?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. You're right. As soon as we were able to make the announcement, people just lined up, you know, and like, yeah, I want to come along. And some pretty eminent people. I was quite surprised in a way, and very pleased. Very pleased. Actually, very pleased more for my team and the institution. Because they were actually in a way demonstrating the trust and the faith they have in the Essential School of Painting. And for people like, you know, I had a country representative on my table, eminent artists and eminent leaders in art schools on my table. So, and obviously my family and my son was there, you know, and he insisted, no, even if I have to sleep at 1 a.m., Dad, I'm coming. I had no choice on that one. So that was good. I agree what you said about family and the way family takes care of you, I would say. Yes, you're an adult. Yes, you're successful. You've demonstrated all the skills to show that, you know what, I can handle my life. But it's funny, as you become more progressive, more productive, they seem to care even more. So that idea of your mom arranging for you your spices, or your mom making sure that you've not left your keys behind, that is a very interesting thing, because in my case, my mom's 4,000 miles away. But whenever I talk to her, the first thing she'll ask me is, are you eating? And when did you last drink water? And like, are you exercising? You know, all these kind of questions. And this, my in-law, my mother-in-law, she's the same. So I agree, the two of you, yeah, family is important. Yeah, and to accept the increased care is actually another sign of you being in the right path. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that was the question that we had from Tim. So how important was faith and family on your road to success?
Faith.
Yeah, faith and family. Tim put that together. I got you, Tim, don't worry.
Faith is everything. Faith in God, faith in yourself, faith in your community, faith in your team. Faith is everything. I mean, what do they say? There's that thing in the Bible. If you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can move mountains, isn't it? It is everything. For me, that's what motivates me. My faith in the people I work with, in my God. Yeah. So is it Tim who asked the question? Family and faith.
Yeah.
Those are your two pillars you can lean on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anne-Marie, I don't know.
No, I totally agree. You know, life throws different things at you. You know, a door will close, another one will open, and you've just got to believe sometimes that, you know, things happen for a reason. You might not understand the why, but all things kind of conspire to your own benefit. And so whether it's the case, you know, you might be made redundant, you might get fired, those kind of really difficult things can actually end up being the making of you, and you can find yourself in a much better situation. So I think sometimes life has a way of kind of nudging you in the right direction. You might not really understand why, especially if you've been made redundant or something. But I definitely have faith, even in situations where, you know, I'm not sure how I can get myself out of it. You know, I believe in God also, and just believe, you know, things will turn out for the best. And sometimes you just have to let them go and see what happens.
Yeah, that's so with the Black British Business Awards, because it's Black, then we are very careful in regards to representing all of what Black represents globally, rather than bringing just what we represent. So for example, if I just brought financial services or professional services, or if I just brought my Caribbeanness, then it would be only a small slice. But I know that with Sophie and I, we do share the same faith. And so even though we don't necessarily, people have told us that we do sound like we are on a Pentecostal pulpit sometimes when we're on stage, but we do, it's been sheer faith that has brought us through some of the moments of the awards in the last 5 years, because it is a way of explaining the difficult, explaining the unexplainable sometimes, when you know there's going to have to be a good end to this, because right now in the midst of it all, it's not looking too good. It's not feeling too good right now. So I know that there's got to be a purpose. There's got to be an intent. So I do, I think, Tim, for myself, then yes, faith and my family has been paramount. That's my mom pretty much. I gave her, Tim, I can't see your last name. I'm not sure if you were at the awards, but I did have to give her a big shout out because she paid my mortgage in the years when I couldn't, in the years when we were just starting this business, and Sophie and I invested a lot into it. And so, her blood kind of threads through it in regards to family, and Sophie's mom has been there alongside her. So it's been fantastic. But unfortunately, you have to go through the dark times to realize faith. Faith isn't really well utilized when it's great. Faith really comes to the fore when the hard times come, the lows of business success. So you talk to me about a low, and more of a personal low rather than a company low, where because I love to be able to give people encouragement who are listening to this, because, you know, everyone, when we're in the middle of something, it's so difficult. It appears so difficult. And so do you have a story where you can share how you, in the middle of it, it was horrible, but then on the other side of it, like, oh, well, then glad that happened. Or, oh, great. You know, do you have a story like that you can share with us in terms of your career?
Anne-Marie?
Yeah, if I think back to my career low, it probably happened like 7 years ago now. Kind of a high.
Sorry, excuse my little dog. I just take it. Help me. Hold on.
Very good. Yeah. And so I was working for a company. I'd been working for them for about 4 years. And then suddenly I was called into a room one day and they said, look, we want to send you to work at our headquarters in the US. And literally I was just given just a couple of days to make a decision, and I was out there in 4 weeks, which was quite life-changing for me. It was kind of a big risk, kind of left my home, left everything behind, and just moved to Chicago, actually, where I didn't even have any family or friends other than just my work colleagues. And so I spent a year in Chicago learning about the North American operations, which was great. It was a huge learning experience for me. I got to test myself just in terms of resilience, learning new information, etc. And then my boss left in EMEA. So I'd left EMEA, I'd gone to North America. My boss was leaving in EMEA, and they said, okay, you're going to have to go back to EMEA. So I went back, that was fine. He left, and obviously he was a director. I was a senior HR manager for me at the time. And so there was a question, I was acting up into his directorship, but there was a question mark whether or not everybody supported me kind of taking that role full time. And we kind of went through this for a couple of months, and I was kind of waiting for them to make a decision. I was listening to the feedback, trying to kind of prove that, you know, I was up for the challenge. And in the end, I was just very disappointed because I felt like there just wasn't the belief in my capability. And kind of that doubt had come at a time when I just spent 12 months, you know, building so much confidence in my ability to adapt and take on new things. And I kind of felt like a superwoman coming back to Mia. And I really wanted to take that newfound confidence and kind of test it kind of with more responsibility. And so it was very difficult that not everybody had that belief in me. And so I could have kind of waited for them to kind of make a decision, but there was something that kind of just shifted in me. And I kind of felt to myself, look, I believe in myself. I believe I can do this. And so in the end, I actually looked for another opportunity, a more senior opportunity. And I didn't stay. I wasn't offered the job, but I did stay to find out, just simply because I just felt at this stage, if there isn't the belief, I want to be in an environment, one, I believe in myself, so I'm going to test my capability. And I want to be surrounded by people who believe in me, who kind of do the impossible is possible. And so I moved into a different environment. But that was a real big lesson for me in terms of, you know, don't always wait for that validation. You've got to decide, you've got to know for yourself who you are. And if you believe you can do something, then you owe it to yourself to go after that and do it. So that was quite pivotal.
Yes, and that's an amazing result as well, because it's quite scary sometimes for us to move from a place where, you know, we're comfortable. We are, you know, we're getting along, we're doing our thing, and then to make that leap. But then the stats do show that for women, particularly for Black women, the only way that we get promoted and the way that we get raises is by actually moving. It's not necessarily, very few of us, you know, I have a few friends who've been able to stay with the same company and, you know, be promoted on a regular basis, but that's actually few and far between generally in the US and the UK. We do have to sometimes move to make that change, like Michael Jackson would say. I know and so, Andrew, is the dog okay?
Yes, these things always happen at the odd time, you know. The delivery, which I've been waiting most of the day for, has to come now.
I know, it always happens. I'm surprised my
Didn't even see the note on the door saying, yeah. Anyway, so so hello is what you wanted from me, I believe. Anwari, thank you so much for sharing that, by the way. It resonates also with me in certain ways also. For me, at no point, life is interesting. Let's put it this way, I've had many low points because that's life. You know, things happen and things go low. But I would say the one that I would say has taught me a lot is I worked in a bank, and I managed a bank and high performance team. Then I decided, you know what, I don't want to retire in the bank and have them one day put me out to pasture like a worn out horse, you know, after all this time. So I thought, you know what, let's get out of this thing now. And I came and told we had a Christmas do, and I told all my pals and family, you know, guys, I'm gonna leave the bank and I'm gonna start business. And they're like, okay, what do you want to do? And now I like luxury cars. Not that I own a luxury car, but I like them just like everyone else. So, you know, I'll do a luxury car business. Yes. And everybody gave me that look of And then I also said, and the art school, which we've been running since 2004, I'm going to do it during that full time now. You know, so it's all being part time. And I clearly remember the guy was a very good guy, good friend of mine, looked at me straight there and said, Andrew, you're too old for that. It's done. You're too old. You can't do it. And obviously now me, I'm like, hey, you know, I like a challenge. So I took it up. I was like, yeah, you'll see how old I am. Eh? We'll see. And I got onto it. You know, I started running 2 businesses. And as you can imagine, starting a business, particularly the luxury vehicle business, because I've never done that before, that was difficult because you're setting up everything, websites, financials, everything. And it didn't work out. Meantime, the art school is also not working out. And cash is draining out quick. My wife is very supportive, but my ego is quite big, has been assaulted heavily. I was in a very low point actually at one point because it was just me and you know that dog you had barking? Yeah. It was me and him walking in the woods with the other dog walkers. So dramatic. I have a lot of respect for dog walkers because dog walkers a lot of them are retirees, by the way. So here I am, you know, in my young, let's put it early 40s, and working with dog walkers, guys in their 60s, and they are talking about how their lives are not going very well. And I found that I'm becoming one of them. That really hit me. And I started thinking, what's going on here? You know, I was really, really low for one point. So that obviously has translated to your businesses. So my wife is asking, you know, what's going on here? You know, you're not working, you're not sleeping well, you're not turning up. And I think what kind of got me out of that was what you said, Melanie, a sudden realization, 1, this is not me. And 2, actually, the fact that things are not working, that doesn't mean they will not work. It just means you need to learn something. You need to look at things and seek the lessons that you're missing out on. So I really started looking at it. The first thing I realized is, Andrew, you may love luxury cars and all that nonsense, but you're going to have to drop that business. So I dropped it. And I put, so to speak, all my eggs in the art school, which, by the way, don't get me wrong, I love art and, you know, it's my life. And I just focused on that. And it means I had to start relearning everything. That's why I talked about the change in the mindset from employee to, you know, becoming a business person, a founder, and, you know, really getting at it. And I started working at rebuilding myself, actually, and really questioning myself, questioning my strengths, my limitations, my ambitions. And yeah, so eventually I got myself out of that room, let's put it that way, which is why when you guys invited me for the finalist, I was very pleased, by the way, Melanie. It made me realize, yeah, okay, good. We must be on the right path, you see, when you get on a representation lab. But yes, it's about pulling yourself, and learning yourself, actually, that's the most important thing. Who are you? And really being honest. I like what you said about Michael Jackson. Really being honest with yourself, being honest with that person in the mirror. You know, because the stories you tell everybody else, but you can't tell yourself stories. You have to really look yourself in the eye and really understand, you know what, I can't fool myself. Yeah.
Well, they do say that leaders have a higher degree, particularly leaders that are successful later on in life, just sustained success have a higher degree of self-awareness in regards to what their faults are, and they've learned how to work with their faults. So I know that I am best working with others in a team. That brings out the best in me in regards to accountability. So I may let myself down, but I won't let my team down, you know, and so that's why now I put myself in team situations rather than putting myself in, or accountable situations rather than just putting, you know, working in a box by myself. So I guess that's my trick. When I need to get to do something, I give myself an external deadline with somebody else. So, you know, if I need to do a video series, then I pay the guy in advance and tell him he's going to receive the videos in 5 days. So I know that my backside is going to get the videos done for him, because I promised him that, and he's waiting so that he can edit them. So what about you guys? What tips when you have to motivate yourself in terms of self-motivation? How do you move yourself? You know, and not on you know, when you're, you know, maybe when you don't necessarily want to do it, or perhaps when you're not very comfortable with it because you don't know, you know, you don't know how, or something. How do you self-motivate? How do you get yourself out there to do something that maybe is not as easy for you, or maybe you don't want to do, or, you know, or it's a big task? How do you self-motivate? So yes, you look in the mirror, but I want actual practical, what do you do? Like, so no philosophical stuff. When you are in your bed in the morning and you don't want to get up, now what do you do? Like the real practical stuff.
You want to go first?
No, right?
Okay. Right. Okay. How do I self-motivate? And nothing philosophical is said. Okay. Okay. In the morning, the first thing is you have to be very practical. I find actually having a practical mindset. Let me. Okay. My sound a bit philosophical.
I'm not allowed to say mindset. I want to do. I don't want to think.
I'm gonna. I'll explain. Let me tell you what I do. I tell myself, be Forrest Gump. Be Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump, what I liked about that whole story is that he's very simple. He's not simple-minded there, but he just does the practical. So I wake up in the morning, wake up, have your shower, have your coffee, start your routine. You have to have your routine. So if it means I sit down and deal with my emails, deal with them. Yeah, and set yourself a timing. I work in 20-minute bursts. I do things in 20 minutes. So I know I've got to do a certain amount of stuff in 20 minutes. And that keeps me goal-oriented, you see. So every time, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. And then I always ask myself one question. Might sound a bit philosophical, but the actions that I'm doing, are they making me move forward? Are they making this boat of my enterprise move forward? So that's what I actually do. And I find whether I'm feeling low or high or whatever, keeping to that mindset of working in specific timings actually helps a lot, because it structures you. Because structure. You got a little dog also. Structure is everything. You see, that's what I find. My point of view. Yeah. Is that okay?
So then, establish I'm gonna recap just to make sure we get. So you establish a routine. So you try to stick to that routine in the morning. So that's getting up, having the cup of coffee, going through the emails.
Yes.
Then you also work in 20-minute chunks. So that if you guys want to look that up, my viewers, it's called the Pomodoro Technique. And so if you're working in 20-minute chunks with 5-minute breaks, and you chunk up your work accordingly, and then you can get really focused piece of work out, and it really helps your brain focus on one piece of work. But that means you also chunk up your work as well if you're working in 20-minute chunks.
Let me just add something to this. I went to the military, and most people don't like use the military as an example, but the military learned something long ago. It's called cadence. The reason when you
were you in the military?
The military has something called cadence. The way you marching. It's marched in a cadence. So you'd hear the person saying left, right, left, right, left, right. That cadence, and they say 122 steps a minute. The military learned this tactic long ago, where they make sure that they've trained the soldier to work in a certain pace, at a certain pace and certain chunks. They have to accomplish a certain achieved thing. Even if it's just marching, you have to do 122 steps a minute to move at a certain speed. Do you see what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is, if the military can do that, it works for them to achieve their goals. Why can't we in the civilians actually try and get our own cadence in our life, working at a pace of 20 minutes, hydrating, eating your meals at the right time? Yeah.
So the thing is, so I'm a university professor, right? So I just came from my class, about 20 years old, and how I want to be able to give them real, if I tell them cadence and military examples, when they don't want to get out of bed, or when they don't feel like doing something, or, when they're circumventing the one task that they know they got to do, but they're not trying to do it, then that's tough. I'm trying to give them, really practical, yes, this is what you do to motivate yourself when you don't feel very motivated.
Yeah.
When you don't feel like the world is on your side. So you're right. Like maybe something as simple as going for a walk with your dog to get into the fresh air, or taking that break. Maybe it's getting a whiteboard and putting all your thoughts on a whiteboard. Maybe it's journaling, so you can like really think. So that's why I'm thinking actual, rather than giving them the advice about the mindset, it's about what can you do bodily to change your mindset, because your mindset not in the right place.
Right.
Does that make sense? So what do you do with your body, your physical, to change your mind, because your mind isn't there yet? And that's where, because now we're in the self-help culture, and people are like, yeah, okay, Mel, great, the growth mindset. What is that? Like, how do I do the growth mindset? How do I kind of think about the growth mindset? I'm trying to go backwards. How do we change the physical to change the mental, rather than changing the mental to change the physical? Anne-Marie, I know. I know.
I think physical things that you can do to change your mindset, like if I'm at home and I've got to do some work at the weekend and I really don't want to do it, and I'm procrastinating, I might do something as small as just kind of change my clothes. So instead of kind of just being in my house clothes, I just might put on something that makes me feel good, do my hair, put a bit of makeup on, and then I kind of feel more in business mode. And then I can kind of focus on my pen and paper. What I also try and do is just remove all distractions. So sometimes you've got this big thing that you need to get to, and you've got these other little things as well, and you think, oh, I might try a bit of this, and it's all kind of procrastination. What I might do is just think, right, for the next hour and a half, all of these little things, I'm just going to blitz. And so I've got no choice but to then focus on the big thing. Yeah. I've got a little dog as well. I've got a Westie called Coco. I'll take her for a walk, clear my lungs, clear my mind. And in that walk, I will be talking myself up. Right, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And chunk it down into smaller pieces of work. Right, I'm going to spend the next hour maybe doing the agenda, or and then after that, I'm going to spend 2 hours building this part of the presentation or creating the server, whatever it is. And then I kind of think, as long as I start, as long as I kind of do bits 1 and 2, maybe I can do 3 and 4. But if it's a huge piece of work and I know I've got to do it that day, it just seems quite, a big task to think of, from start to completion. So then, as you say, I would chunk it down. Yeah.
And so who do you guys look to for inspiration then? When you, who or what are there podcasts that you listen to, or books that you like to read, or is it that you like, are there, kind of role models that you have out there? So I know I always think, okay, what would Beyonce do? And so people think, really, Mel, Beyonce? But what I love about Beyonce is that Beyonce is so product focused or product oriented. I love the fact that every time we see her, it's because she has an album coming out. She doesn't, it's not about, let me put a picture on the gram of me and my mom chilling every day. She doesn't give you a bunch of advice, like maybe sayings on Instagram. Literally every time you see her, it's because she is producing an album. And so I always try to remember, okay, Mel, it's great, all of this PR and media stuff and, all of the taking a bunch of pictures and everything. But if you don't have product, then if you're not producing something with your hands that has value to someone else, then, is it really that relevant? So that's why I say, what would Beyonce do in this instance? Because she's also very protective of her time. So do you have someone like that where you say, like, what would Oprah do, or what would Michelle Obama do, or what would Barack Obama do? Andrew, is there someone that you look to?
Yeah, well, I have I've got people I look to, but I have it depends on the situation. I try to imagine what would Richard Branson do, is what I try and do, because he started in the 1960s in the squats, and now he's got this business empire. I try and imagine, what's he going to do if he were here? What would he do? Now, don't get me wrong, I've never met the man, I don't know him, but I just try and use him in my imagination. How would he relate to people? How would he deal with this particular situation? He's facing a situation where he has to, for example, speaking to a potential partner. How would he want to approach that? What would he expect of himself also when he's in the meeting? I also.
So how do you learn what he is like? Do you read his book? Interviews?
I read his books. Yeah, you read. Yeah, you have to study. You have to study your subject. So I've read his books. I've kind of tried to study his businesses, see how is he grown. I've read his autobiography, and I also go onto YouTube and try and see things that he's up to. There's a time Virgin Airlines had a customer service problem, and he put on an air hostess's uniform and climbed the planes and started serving his customers. Now he's a chairman of Virgin Group, but he knew the little things are very important, and so he went and did it. And I thought, actually that's right. The littlest things are very important. Another thing is I admired, it might sound cliche, is my mom, because my mom was both a businesswoman and a farmer. So when I grew up on a farm, and her attitude was, if you don't take care of the little things, things die. If you don't take care of the feed for the chickens die. If you don't go and talk to that worker nicely, your cows won't get milked. Okay. If you don't, so take care of the little details. So that's where I look for my inspiration. And also I surround myself with people who get going people. It's very important to have especially the 5 people around you a lot have to be people who inspire you and have a go-get attitude. And they're not yes people. They don't have to be yes people, but they have a go-get attitude and they're able to tell you the truth. So I try and surround myself with that a lot. Team, like you said earlier on, that's very important. But yeah.
Okay. And Anne-Marie, who do you look to? What do you look to for inspiration?
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Michelle Obama. I'm reading her book coming right now. And I think what I kind of
the Audible book?
No, just the hardback book.
You know what? Because she reads it herself, her book. So it sounds like she's talking to you like she's your girl. That's my tip for everybody. Yeah, I know, right? That's why. It's really lovely because she actually reads it herself. That's why I love her books and Oprah's books as well, because Oprah talks to you like she's just your girlfriend, talking to you, so I recommend it thoroughly. Yeah, I think you really, really enjoy it.
Yeah. Really. And so I think what's inspiring about Michelle is just kind of seeing how she's navigated her time in the White House, and I think there's lessons in terms of how can you be yourself, how can you be your authentic self in a very structured environment. How can you manage all the kind of competing demands of your life, whether it's work, children, your own personal goals, when there's kind of a lot being thrown at you. So I really kind of admire that about her. But generally, I read a lot of self-help books. I go into YouTube, watch a lot of kind of motivational speakers, and I read a lot of biographies just to try and understand, how others have overcome adversity, what they've learned, what did they try. so I can kind of learn some of those strategies for myself, or just it would just expand my own kind of creative thinking when it comes to problem solving for myself. And so I'm very much into that. I think on a day-to-day basis, I just try and surround myself with people who are very positive and optimistic. And I've got, I'm very fortunate to have, a great sponsor, some really great mentors who, will stop what they're doing and kind of listen to me venting, or listen to me kind of not feeling very inspired myself, who will kind of, prop me up, kind of reinforce, you've got this, you can do this. Sometimes you have those low days and you're kind of saying, look, I'm not sure if I can do it today, but just having kind of a team of people who believe in you, who will kind of remind you of your successes, who will tell you that you've got this, who will share kind of their tips and tricks. Look, I was in a similar situation. This is how I went about it. This is what you need to do. I think is invaluable, especially kind of, if you have, in very, very demanding circumstances, whether it's professionally or personally. There's nothing like kind of sharing the problem and kind of hearing different viewpoints on how you might tackle something. Even if you just decide to go your original way, I think that is invaluable. And then just having, a sponsor who not only believes in you, but, is willing to open their network to you, who's willing to open doors for you, that really does make a difference. And it's kind of night and day in terms of how you can accelerate from one place to another. So I just look for women, but also I try and be that to other people as well. I think it's the circle of life, right? We don't get there by ourselves. We get there through, people helping us, but, we need to help other people. So that's how I kind of see life is, you put in, but also you get out. And there's lots of people willing to stop what they're doing to help someone else. And I think if you're able to do the same, then that's just that's the way it should be.
Yeah. I mean,
so I just wanted to, sorry, Andrew?
I was just going to say, just to add what Anne-Marie is saying, I find being a teacher is very inspirational. You learn, and when you give people and teach people, you actually teach yourself a lot. So I really like that. It's a major thing I found. Because in my situation where I'm running this institution, I'm a founder of it, I have to now teach a lot. And I find I learn a lot of stuff just by teaching and understanding and trying to really grasp how do I transmit this across. And TED Talks, by the way, that TED Talk, that's a very fantastic channel to use because there's so much inspiration there you can find. Anyway, sorry, go on.
I remember when the dean of my university at the time, I was coming over from being a management consultant to being a professor. And he said, it's going to be quite a mind switch for you because with management consultancies and with the business world generally, you're paying for a service, you're paying for expertise. And so a lot of the times when you're around the table, you are also proving your value or proving why you're supposed to be there, proving why, you're worth the payment. Where with at a university environment, particularly, what you are responsible for is to make sure that the information in your head and in those textbooks gets to those students. You, by virtue of you being in the front of the room, you are supposed to be there, and that it's not your responsibility to prove to your students that you're supposed to be there. It's your responsibility to land that knowledge. And it took me a good, 18 months to really get my head around the fact that I'm not, I don't have to prove that I'm supposed to be there. It's all about making sure that my students get as much learning deposited into them as possible. But and then it did, and now in the business world, it kind of came back and it reflected back in the business world now. It does help your confidence considerably. But I think, but Anne-Marie, I wanted to touch on a point in regards to, I guess, relationships and the key, because I know we only have a few minutes left or 10 minutes left, but the key relationships and have, because I always try with these sessions to make sure we don't go surface. So every time we give a piece of advice, we got to give an example of when we messed up. How did we learn that lesson? Not, oh yeah, this is what I always believe, and this is what I always think. I'm like, yeah, okay, great, but then you must have learned that lesson somehow. It must have been there must have been some kind of story there. So how what was the hard lesson that you had to learn? As a mother would say, if you can't hear, you must feel, that led you to hold relationships in such a high kind of priority?
It's a good question. I think probably just, you get to a certain point in your career and it's kind of, you have the capability, but somehow you're kind of stuck from moving forward beyond that. And so if I kind of think back to kind of my time in middle management, I was good at what I did. I'd been doing it for a long time. I'd worked for a few good companies, but that was it. Like, I mean, every time I tried to apply for a new job, I'd kind of have to prove myself all over again. And I think when people came into my life and they took an interest in what I was doing and they helped to promote me, or they might introduce me to somebody who could help me, I just really valued their generosity. Like, I really valued their generosity. It did make a difference in terms of the environments I found myself in, the type of people I was talking to, which would create new opportunities for me, not just in work, but outside of work, in industry. And so that's just been huge, to be honest. And maybe I would have got there myself, but it would have taken me, a hell of a long time. Somebody else has accelerated my development. Someone else has opened a door for me, which has created a number of different opportunities. And I don't think I could have really done that by myself. It would have just, or if I did, it would have taken a long time. I wasn't able to do it for myself up until that point. I mean, I joined forums and things like that. But I mean, if you have a sponsor, somebody who's very credible, somebody who's well connected, that's just like night and day in terms of that door being open to you. That improves your network automatically. It puts you in a different space, in a different environment, with access to different types of opportunities. And I think that's huge. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
No, it does answer my question. I think we've said a lot here, but what we are saying is, give and receive. So giving that support and receiving that support. And so it's key. Like, it's in regards to learning from people who are around you, people who are more senior than you, but then also how your perspective changes and how you grow when you're also giving that knowledge as well, in terms of that teaching and the mentoring and things of the like. And so, yes, even though we're on this earth by ourselves, we are in a complex web of relationships, and it's really important to choose our relationships wisely, my friends. So look at those 5 people around you. What are they doing with their lives? Because most likely you will be doing the same thing, my friends. So if that's what you want to do, then you're in the right place. But if not, then you might want to reconsider how you spend your time. One last question I'd love for both of you. The 3 books that you gift the most. Don't worry, Zara. Zara is a regular listener. Hello, Zara. She's here tonight, and she always likes to hear about the books that you guys not only like to read, but you would actually gift to another person. What book have you gifted the most? What book have you recommended the most? And if it's not a book, if books aren't your thing, then if it's a podcast, but basically it's a leadership development resource, which ones have you recommended the most? The 3 top ones, please. Andrew, you're up.
There's the 7 Habits of Successful Living. 7 Habits, that's a very good one.
Before we go on, though,
go on.
Because I like to keep it real in these streets, people. The 7 Habits for me was a lot it was a lot to read. Like, it wasn't cute, people. It wasn't with no diagrams. There weren't a lot of tables either. It's actually quite dense reading. So how I even tried to listen to it on Audible as well. Me and Rufus were catching a nap on our back. It's
not a book you read quickly. Yeah, it's not a book to be read quickly. It's a book you read through the year, through the whole year. You keep coming back to it, throughout the year.
Okay.
And that's so that and remember we talked about structure. Having that book, coming back to it gives you that structure because you keep coming back to it. So 7 Habits is one.
Okay. What's your favorite habit?
My favorite habit. That's a hard one.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like,
okay,
I
but my
thought,
favorite habit is being true to myself and true to everyone
okay,
around me. Yeah,
okay,
and I mean that in the deepest sense. Yeah, not that I cover up or what, but really being truthful to purpose and what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to say. Being very much aware that, like when you speak, it's not about what you're saying, but it's what people hear you say and how they understand what you're saying, and making sure that that truth of what you really want to say, what you really want done, is transmitted. So
okay,
yeah, being true to self. That is, yeah, is one
okay.
I picked out. Yeah,
So
and I think
now,
it's kind of a hybrid of everything you
but
get from that.
the thing is, we're on. I guess again, I want to go deeper and say the level
Yeah.
and the level of authenticity. So, how did you? When were you not true to yourself for you to learn that lesson? Because again, that's what I want to get for people.
Right.
I don't want to because the lessons they can just get surface. They can read
Right.
that somewhere else, but they need to hear from us. Wait,
And
when
when I
were we
was,
not true? What consequences did we suffer, and how did we learn that lesson? We didn't just read it in
especially,
the book. It's be true.
yeah, I think I was not true to myself. When I was in the bank, I would have a high success. I was, I was successful in what I was doing, and I bought the hype. Oh, Andrew, you're fantastic. Oh, you're great. Oh my God, and they throw package in this, package that, and I bought the hype. Oh yeah, I'm great. I'm fantastic, and I became this non-human in a way.
Yeah.
And then one day I realized actually this is not who I am. Um, I'm becoming a gadget to produce for them, and not to actually. You're not actually being honest to your clients even, because you're trying to achieve their targets instead of your client's target. You know what I mean? Not that I ever sold or anything, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Especially that time when people are saying you're great, that's the time you really need to stand back and look at yourself and ask yourself that question. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I do feel you. People with the awards, they're like, "Oh yeah, you guys are so great. It's so great. It's so great." And so you
Yeah.
got to take a step back. I'm like,
Ah.
what are they praising me for, and am I proud of it?
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so Anne Marie, we're gonna move to you for your first book or podcast or resource.
So first book, Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. It's got to
Really?
be.
That's with your dense books, eh? Like you guys are like these year-long. These aren't light books, my friends. I just want to let you know, like you're getting on a mission here. But they're amazing books, and they will change your life if you apply them and you really kind of process them.
Yeah.
So, wow,
But
when did you?
such an amazing example of leadership, right? And then kind of overcoming adversity, keeping your mind in check, still trying to do the right thing. Love over hate. How do you even do that? I don't even know. And then also Marcus Buckingham, Now Discover Your Strengths, because I'm a big fan of strengths-based coaching. Because, the idea of trying to spend your time on the things that you're not naturally good at, focus on kind of what sets you apart. And that gets us all out of jail, that kind of strength-based coaching. And then probably I read like T.D. Jakes. He's got a book called Reposition Your Life, just more on the spiritual kind of, focus on where you're going, have faith, that kind of thing. It will all work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the books that you recommend the most.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So anything by T.D. Jakes, Marcus Buckingham, Now Discover Your Strengths, and Long Walk to Freedom, Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
So all the way across the board. Thank you for that.
No,
and then Andrew, so you have Stephen Covey, 7 Habits.
Yep.
Of highly people. And what else?
Also, a fiction book which I liked reading was a book called Shogun by David Carvel, and particularly because of a particular character in that book where I admired the way he dealt with adversity. So Shogun is one, and I've read that book so many times. Just to learn that people's problems are the same, but it doesn't matter where you are in the world. This book is based in Japan. So that's one I like giving people, and I like giving it because when you give people a fiction book, you give someone fiction, they don't think you're teaching them something. I think you give them a good read. But yeah,
lovely.
And then wow, so many of them. Let's see. Yeah, I think that I'll say those are 2 main things I've given people.
Those are the 2 ones.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for giving us fiction one. We don't get a lot of fiction.
Yeah.
You know, people are all
Fiction. Yeah. I think fiction is good because it comes from our own heritages. Even as Black people, a lot of lessons are taught by parables and fiction, mythological stories, and that's how we get to. So autobiographies you cannot walk away from autobiographical works because those are truth and people talking about their lives. But with fiction, I call it the sneak attack. Yeah? You give them and then they learn something. Yeah. And and there's the story of philosophy. I'm sorry, I've just remembered that one. There's a book called Story of Philosophy, where it takes you through the beginnings of philosophy all the way to modern philosophy. Yeah. I forget the author, but yeah.
Story of Philosophy. I don't know that one. I am a story.
Yeah, I've got one in my library there, but I'm trying to remember the author. The Story of Philosophy. Yeah. Amazon. It's on Amazon. Yeah.
It's on Amazon. The Story of Philosophy.
Yeah.
You guys know I'm always bringing the philosophy tips to you because that's my favorite Greek philosophy. So we are out of time, but I wanted to give you a chance to just let us know the one last message, if it can include maybe what you're up to next, if you want to let people know, and then also just one last message of encouragement, like a short, sharp shot in the arm to say encouragement. One last message for our listeners tonight. So Andrew, you go first.
Oh, I was hoping everybody was going to go first. I know. Okay. So what we're up to next is we formed partnerships and we started a scholarship program. We're going to be doing 3 scholarships for artists nationwide, and we've just sorted out the financials. So we're very encouraged by that. And it's going to be particularly aimed at people, young artists between 21 and 30-year-olds of talent and who don't necessarily have the financial means to pay the kind of fees that are expected. That's one. Words of encouragement. I'll leave you this line. What makes the boat go faster? This is a phrase that was used by the British rowing team during the Olympics. They consistently won medals, and people wondering why did they do that? And the good thing about working in a bank is banks can afford to pay people a lot of money. So they brought them in and they talked to us and we asked them, so what's your success story? And they just said, what makes the boat go faster? Every action you take must be geared to making your boat go faster. Every advice you take must be geared to making that boat go faster. Every meal you eat, every exercise you do, every thought that you have, make the boat go faster. It's a way to achieve the end goal. If your goal is to achieve a gold medal, to build a company, to progress your career, to have a happy marriage, to have a great friendship, you can use that phrase in everything. What makes the boat go faster?
So apply that to your lives. Where do you want that success? And what do you need to do to make that success happen and go and do it? Simple. Right. Simple. I know exactly. And then Anne-Marie.
Yeah, so I don't think it's going to be hard for me to follow Andrew there. I don't have anything profound to say. But my recommendation for anybody who is either trying to learn some new skills that they can't in their job or is just looking to give back is to volunteer. Volunteer for a non-for-profit organisation or a charity or something that you are especially interested in. Not only does that mean you're giving back, but you'll be surprised as to what new skills you could actually learn personally along the way.
Brilliant. Truth. Volunteer. Hey, yeah, some of my biggest growth points have been through my volunteering experience rather than my paid for experiences. Actually, the Black British Business Awards to me is volunteer. It's a big volunteer project for myself and Sophie. We didn't think it was going to get this big. Who knew? Right? Who knew? It's all about volunteering. It's all about volunteering. Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah, what you ladies do is amazing. I mean, we need not say more than that. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it is brilliant. Yeah. It is absolutely brilliant what it's grown into, and it doesn't stop here. It's lovely. So, and this is just a new part of what we're doing, Mentor Mondays tonight. So, I want to thank you. Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you so much, Anne-Marie, for giving us your time this evening and giving of yourselves and what's inside of your heads and your hearts and your minds, and sharing with us, basically some of the highs and lows of the journeys to the success that you undoubtedly are. So, and thank you so much for joining us on this cold winter night. My friends, I see Kalisha and Tony and Zara. Thank you guys for your questions and your attentiveness. I'm seeing the attentiveness scales are like off the chain. So we really, really appreciate that. And we love to have you. Yes, I think that is it for this evening. Please, you will get the replay links in a minute. So please watch back the replay links and pass the message on that this is Mentor Mondays, and we'll be back next week. So thank you guys so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye. See you soon.
Bye.